Imagine you're walking through a dense, primeval forest. The air is crisp, the canopy above is thick, and you are hunting for your next meal. Suddenly, you step on a sharp piece of flint, slicing deep into the bottom of your bare foot. Today, you'd hop to the bathroom, wash it with antibacterial soap, slap on a Band-Aid, and forget about it by dinner. But 50,000 years ago, that tiny, insignificant cut is a ticking time bomb. Without modern antibiotics, vaccines, or sterilized tools, a simple infection could be a slow, agonizing death sentence. So, how did you survive? How did ancient humans, our ancestors who were biologically identical to us, feeling the same pain and getting the same diseases, manage to populate the earth without pharmacies, hospitals, or modern medicine? The truth is a bizarre mix of brutal trial and error, weirdly effective natural remedies, and some of the most terrifying surgical procedures you can possibly imagine. You didn't have a corner drugstore, but you did have the earth. Ancient humans were masters of their environment. They had to be. Let's go back to that cut on your foot. To stop the infection, your tribe's healer might reach for something you'd probably put in your tea today, raw honey. Ancient humans figured out incredibly early that applying honey to open wounds stopped them from rotting. What they didn't know is why it worked. Honey naturally contains hydrogen peroxide and has a high sugar concentration that literally dehydrates and kills bacteria. And what if you had a splitting headache or a fever? You'd chew on the bark of a willow tree. It tastes incredibly bitter, but a few hours later, your pain begins to fade. Why? Because willow bark contains salicin, the exact active chemical compound that we use today to make aspirin. Through thousands of years of deadly trial and error, ancient humans mapped out a massive, invisible pharmacy in the wild. But herbs and honey can only do so much. What happens when things get serious? What happens when a member of your tribe falls and sustains a severe head injury, or starts having unexplainable seizures? This is where ancient medicine gets terrifying. Imagine lying on a bed of animal skins. There is no anesthesia, no numbing cream. A healer walks over to you holding a sharp, sterilized piece of obsidian stone, and while you are wide awake, they begin to scrape and drill a hole directly into your skull. This practice, called trepanation, is one of the oldest surgical procedures in human history. We have found thousands of ancient skulls all over the world, from Europe to South America, with perfectly carved holes in them. The most shocking part? The bone growth around these holes proves that a vast majority of these patients actually survived the procedure and lived for years afterward. The healers were performing successful brain surgery with rocks. Let's say a hunter in your tribe gets their arm mauled by a predator, a daily risk in the ancient world. The tissue dies, turning black and gangrenous. Without amputation, the infection will spread to the blood and kill them. But early humans had a wildly disturbing, yet genius, solution: maggot therapy. By intentionally placing specific types of fly larvae into the rotting wound, the maggots would eat only the dead, infected flesh, leaving the healthy tissue completely untouched. They would also secrete an enzyme that essentially disinfected the wound. It is unbelievably gross to think about. But this ancient method was so incredibly effective that modern hospitals are actually starting to use sterilized maggot therapy again today for antibiotic-resistant infections. It's easy to look back at ancient humans and think of them as primitive or helpless. We imagine they just dropped dead the second they got a cold. And yes, infant mortality was incredibly high, and the average lifespan was shorter. But if you made it past childhood, you were incredibly tough. Your immune system was a hardened, battle-tested shield, exposed to thousands of microbes that modern humans are completely shielded from today. Your microbiome, the good bacteria in your gut, was vastly more diverse than ours, making you naturally more resilient to environmental diseases. They didn't understand germ theory. They thought sickness came from evil spirits, bad air, or curses. Yet, through pure observation, they figured out how to set broken bones with splints made of mud and sticks. They learned to use clay to protect their skin from the sun and insects. They learned that boiling water made it safer to drink. Every single one of us is alive today because an ancient ancestor survived a cut, a fever, or a broken bone using nothing but bark, dirt, and sheer willpower. We are the descendants of the ultimate survivors. So next time you take a modern painkiller for a headache, take a second to think about the ancient humans chewing on tree bark in the freezing cold, the unwilling pioneers of the medicine that keeps us alive today. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I create videos on topics I find interesting, and there are plenty more bizarre and fascinating mysteries about our past left to explore. Let me know in the comments below. Would you have survived the ancient world's brutal medical treatments? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.